Wow, it's time for another show full of tips and ideas from the sales growth leadership expert, Dean Akers. Known for his experience in hyper-growing companies and creating cultures for high-performance teams, here's Dean.
Wow. Welcome to our 33rd show. This is going to be an exciting show for me today. There's a lot of cool stuff that came out this past week, but I want to share some things. I'm really thankful for the audience out there. The audience is now eclipsed in 33 shows. We have been listened to in over 100 countries across the globe. And I've just put the map up so you can see it. It's almost getting all white. We're in third world countries. I don't know who all's listening, but we're just so excited to have that kind of reach across the globe. We also, for the last couple weeks, on iTunes, under the business section video, we've had the number one slot for, I think, 3 weeks. And last week's I had like 7 of the top videos. So I can't tell you how grateful I am for all our video watchers, our listeners, if you're just listening in. And I'm so excited, and I hope the content is really making sense and helping you grow your business and win more. Today we're going to talk about something based on some conversations I've had over the past week, and one in particular was with my son. He has a business. I think I've shared that with you. And we started talking about the great game of business and things that happen and how you really grow a business and get people engaged, and what all this does to solve or what the benefits are. And so the key thing that I want to drive home this week is, if you're in sales or if you're a leader, a CEO, a location manager, whatever your leadership role is, ask yourself if you're keeping score. Ask yourself if you're keeping score. And people go, well, what do you mean score? Well, I'll give you an example. In all my businesses, we've kept score. The number one score, which if we use football as an analogy, is, are we winning the game? And in business, to win the game is sales growth and profitability. So I meet CEOs all the time, or more importantly, entrepreneurs all the time, and they're talking about, oh, the people don't get it, they don't care, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I ask them, are you giving them their financials, your financials, every month or every week? And they go, what? I'm not going to give them my financials. They'll know how much I make. They'll get jealous. They'll want raises. They'll want blah, 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 blah. And the answer is, no, they won't. People love to be on a team that's successful. And when we're sitting there telling our team members, you got to work harder, you got to do all this, and they hear you, and really what they're hearing is blah, 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 blah. And then when you start directing them, you need to go here, teaching. You're not teaching them, you're telling them what to do. They follow your lead, and they do exactly as they're told, because there is no measurement of score. So their only reference point for score is if they think they're satisfying you as the leader. This works in sales too. I can't tell you how many of the salespeople I meet, and I go, so tell me how you keep score. And they go, what do you mean? How do you know if you're really winning? What is the number one way to keep score in sales? Income. Are you making 200? Are you making 500? No, I make this and a bonus. Is that really where you want to be? And they go, oh, I'd like to make more. Then how are you keeping score? The ultimate score in their cases are income. The ultimate score in your business is sales and profitability. So somebody says, well, people can't control everything. So I'll use my football analogy. In football, there's an offense, defense, special teams. There's the coaches. There's the support people that are selling tickets. There's the support people that are getting the pads ready and loading the buses for travel. All these people are on the team. The way they keep score is the team winning? And the ultimate score in the football world, especially professional football or college football or high school football, do we win the state champion? Do we win the SEC? Do we become the national champion? Are we the Super Bowl winners? At the end of the day, that's what makes the difference. And that's what everyone talks about. So Are you setting up with your team that Super Bowl win and what it looks like? So the financial score is a method of doing that. And when you share the financials, i.e. the wins, people love to rally behind that. Look, when somebody wins a Super Bowl, the person that's in the equipment department that has been getting the equipment ready for the team and stuff, he doesn't suddenly go, oh, well, the owner made $100 million. He needs to give me a $100,000 raise. No, he doesn't even think about that. What he thinks about or she thinks about is, I am on the Super Bowl team. I'm on the most winning team. If you don't think that's true, look at professional athletes that make tens of thousands of dollars and their teams aren't winning, and they're telling their agents, I want to be traded to a winning team. It isn't about the money. They'll trade down sometimes as far as income because they want to get on to a winning team. So keeping score is very, very important. Now, what are the benefits? What are the benefits of keeping score? One is team engagement. What happens is you can't win financially with your business if all aspects of the business aren't working together to create a result. I'm working with a company now where I have one department is kind of at odds with another department, even to the extent that I saw an email recently that a customer got where one department was saying, I'm sorry, our other department doesn't do a good job. I'll try to fix it. What happened there? Who's going to lose in that big game? It's not the department that's going to win or lose. It's not offense or defense. At the end of the day, the team will not win and they're not going to score. So everybody has to carry their load. Everybody has to have a measurable input and output that makes them understand their value. For instance, in my discussion with my son, he goes, well, what do you mean? How do you get that down into the trenches? I said, well, you get down to measuring the things that are important for each one of those touches in your business that ultimately wins the financial game. For instance, if you've got a company and you need on-time shipments, then you want your shipping department to measure on-time shipments. In the great game of sports, it's first downs, it's tackles. If you're on defense, it's the number of stops you make. It's the total yards you hold the offense to. If you're on defense or offense, it's how many yards you score, but more importantly, how many touchdowns you get. What is your percentage completion average? What's your punt average for special teams? All these things become critical components that ultimately, as a team, yields a win. And that win turns into a second win, third win, and ultimately with the team that works the best together, it ultimately turns into a Super Bowl, a World Series. Whatever the sport is, it becomes the championship. So when we're out there, we want to make sure we have team engagement. If you're a CEO, you want to make sure you have a set of measurements and score for your teams. The other side of it is ask yourself if you're training. If you're a CEO or a managed person, how many hours a week do you devote to actually training and practicing? I met a group recently and I said, how are we doing our training? They looked at me like I had seen a ghost. What are you talking about training? How do you engage your team every week in sharpening their axe and getting better and training them? Today we're doing that. Every week we spend 2 hours. We have conference calls and we're training. We're not telling them, well, you guys need to do this or that or this or that. We're spending time training. And what that's creating is team engagement because they want to learn. And the reason they want to learn is they know by learning they're going to be able to score more. The company's going to be more successful. They'll be more successful and they're going to win the great game. They're going to be the most successful. So training is critical. When I had one of my previous companies, we used online training even because we had locations all across the country. So we spent time training and pushing out training programs. If you don't have training programs, you need to email me at dean@deanacres.com and I'll help you set something up. I've got friends that can do online training for you, but you got to get training. Here's the funny thing. As a leader, you create this team engagement. You get to where you're keeping score. You even have them keep the score. So you don't have to be the guy standing up front or the girl standing up front saying, y'all aren't winning, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. You teach them how to gain those winning points. You train them. And here's what's the crazy result. Your team members spend more hours a day working with your company as a team than they do with their spouses, their families, and sleeping. So their 24-hour a day is generally in one space, mostly with you. So now you've got engagement, you have growth, you have empowerment, you're keeping score, you're winning, you're having high profitability, high growth in sales, and you're having fun. Your team is having fun. What problems does it solve? This past week, I was talking to some of my teams, and some of my CEOs were saying, man, I'm having a hard time getting people motivated to show up. I'm having a hard time to get my team to understand what we need to do to be successful. And my question was, do they get the financials? The answer was no. I said, what score are you keeping? Production scores, whatever. Well, we're not. Guess what? You've taken the game out of it. Years ago, I worked with a company, and we had prisoners that came every day to our operation. And every day they would come to the operation. So they got brought in a white van. So we knew that they had X amount of time. In that X amount of time, they would work. At the breaks, I noticed them pitching pennies. And they would scream and holler. And at the end of the break, they would win maybe 15 cents. Who knows? No amount of money. But what I saw in that time was they loved to win. So I went out and I took our team and I said, I bet we can outproduce the other team every day. Let's bet them Cokes, drinks. Again, we all have put our money up, 25 cents back then. We bet the other team that we could beat them. Well, they rallied. We rallied. We over doubled the production of this particular company's product construction we were doing without even knowing we cared to do that, because we were competing against each other. The company couldn't even figure it out because the bosses didn't come out and say, y'all got to get at it. We did it and had fun. And every day, the team that would win, the other one had to buy us a drink. It was all we put that together for our own team. It wasn't about the money or anything else, and we had fun. So these problems also solve hiring, because when your teams are having fun, one of the companies I was talking to recently, they go, how do I find good people? I said, do you have good people? Well, yeah, I got 70 great people. I said, what are the odds? What are the odds that they know people? What's 100%? If you're in a business, I guarantee you, your superstars and the people that you work in company work with people every day that they would say that person would be a rock star in our company. So you start asking them, how do we get more rock stars like you on the company? And they start bringing them in. One of the companies I had, I just did that, and my team, which I gave, by the way, I give them every single team member their own business card. My teams went out and started soliciting people for me when they were at the pool halls or wherever they were, and said, hey, y'all need to come work, because they knew the guys. You want to come work for a company that really rocks? Come work for our company. So our lobby was filled every day during a boom period of time with people that wanted to work for us. It wasn't about 20 cents more an hour. It was they wanted to be engaged. They knew we would train, and they knew we had fun, and they knew we kept score. And they know if we kept score, they'd have that sense of winning. So what I want you to do is reflect back and ask yourself this week, if I sat down with my team and said, team, do you think I have set a good game plan for keeping score? If you're not sharing your financial results, you're not keeping score. You're not keeping score. If you're not having each group build out what triggers drive that financial success so that you can be the, quote, Super Bowl winner, you're not keeping score. If you're not having your team engage in setting that criteria, you're not keeping score. So I want you to go out, see what you're doing, get your teams, and start keeping score. If you need help with this, just email me at dean@deanacres.com. That's dean@deanacres.com, and say, Dean, I need help. I will for free call you anywhere in the United States and help you out. If you're one of our folks in one of the countries, I'll try to call you there, because I think we can call on Skype and call anywhere in the world. And I will work on helping you out, because keeping score is such a big criteria. But before I let you go, I got to talk about my sales teams. My sales teams this past week, I got another 500 customer presentation close protectors. Go back and listen to some of my sales programs. This is the thing that I send out to my sales ninjas that helps people understand. It's a reminder not to puke on your customers. Go back to some of our other podcasts and listen about sales. I will send you one if you just email me at help@deanacres.com or to mine, dean@deanacres.com. I got 500 more of them in this week, 500 more in this week. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in. This is a little longer show than we do, but it was so near and dear to my heart this week because I met so many of my CEO buddies out, and then my own son, and the reflection was back, are you keeping score? So until next week, let's go out and keep some score.
We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Subscribe today to our podcast and send questions or thoughts to help@deanacres.com. Also, visit us at www.deanacres.com to listen to prior shows and view helpful videos. Also, great tips to download. Thanks again. See you next week.